One of my subscribers asked me to do an analysis of the movie The Thing, since it has an open ending. And for 40 years now, there's been constant debate. Which of the two surviving characters is assimilated by The Thing, Childs or R.J. MacReady? This question remains one of the most discussed mysteries to this day. I think it's time to put an end to it. Director John Carpenter has dodged this question in his interviews many times, always saying that everything we need to know is shown in the film. The way he did it really deserves respect. I'll tell you right away. I spent a significant amount of time preparing for this, and I even had to read the script, which, to be honest, doesn't differ much from the film, though some details are described more thoroughly. And this is what helped me find all the answers. Yes, folks, Childs is the thing, and I'm going to prove it. We'll also try to break down some small details. For example, when and who stole the keys to the blood samples locker, as well as what exactly the thing is, how it ended up on the ship, where it came from, and much more. So make yourselves comfortable, as I'm starting with the biggest question of all. When did Childs become the thing? Let's start with hints and gradually move toward definitive proof. First, we have a theory from Rob, a respected expert and video blogger. He claims that whenever the thing appears on screen, the same melody plays. This occurs at the beginning of the film with the dog, and it's confirmed again at the end with Childs. I decided to double-check, and it turns out this isn't always the case. In some scenes, a different melody plays. Plus, after watching the film, we already know which characters have been assimilated by the thing, so I won't base my argument on this theory. The main clue and answer have always been right in front of us. Have you ever wondered why we were shown this specific moment? What was the purpose of these scenes? What was going through the director's mind when he decided to show us this? In fact, this is the answer, or more precisely, the jackets hanging on the hooks. Before this, we see a scene where MacReady gives Childs instructions. If Dr. Blair returns, Childs should burn him.
Childs, we're going out to give Blair the test. If he tries to make it back here and we're not with him, burn him.
Pay attention to the arrangement of the jackets. Later in the scene, we notice that one jacket is missing, and some have changed position. Also, note the boot that's standing in this shot. 10 minutes later, it's lying on the floor. Here's why this is significant. Earlier in the film, we see several instances of the thing tearing clothing during assimilation, as clothing has no value for the alien organism. At the start, we see shredded underwear, and later, an attempt to frame MacReady, which, honestly, the thing almost succeeded in. Is this detail important? Without a doubt. These subtle details left by the director are key to answering the main question. Before the scene where MacReady talks to Childs, Childs was definitely uninfected, as he passed the blood test. But by the time we see him going outside to the base, everything has changed. So, what happened? I think that in that short time, Dr. Blair infected Childs. For some reason, Childs didn't burn Blair. Maybe Blair convinced him or used some other trick. But one thing is clear. During the assimilation or struggle, some of the jackets fell to the floor. After Childs was assimilated, his jacket was damaged, so he removed it and put on another one, as close to his original as possible. This is the one missing in the frame. He hung the remaining jackets back up, but forgot about the boot, which is why it's left lying on the floor. The second clue appears in the film's final scene, when MacReady and Childs meet. MacReady offers Childs a drink from his bottle, a very subtle detail. Earlier, the doctor mentions that everyone should prepare their own food and keep a safe distance to avoid accidental infection. The script expands on this further. Childs is particularly careful about his own dishes, and he even complains several times when others touch his glass or personal items. So MacReady realizes that if Childs is not the thing, he would never agree to drink from the same bottle. And it's in this moment that MacReady understands everything. He realizes he's lost. But instead of getting angry, he smiles, a stark contrast to how he reacted to losing at the beginning of the film. If you watch the movie from a different angle, constantly asking yourself what the director was trying to convey, every scene gains significance, even the moment with the chess game. Many people, myself included, see this as an analogy for the entire film, a chess game between the thing and MacReady. Each side makes its moves, and in the end, when MacReady thinks he has won, he finds out things aren't at all what he expected, just as he thought about the game machine.
Poor baby, you're starting to lose it, aren't you?
Book 1. My move. Rook to knight 6. Checkmate.
He clearly doesn't like losing. I hope I've helped you unravel the first question. Now, let's address the rumors about the miracle tape with deleted scenes and an alternate ending. I used to think it was just a myth, but I was wrong. At the end of the video, I'll show you everything that didn't make it into the final film. There's a lot of fascinating stuff, but for now, let's tackle the second question. When and who stole the keys to the cabinet where the blood was stored? This moment is actually detailed in the script, so I decided to look for it in the movie. To my surprise, it's right there on screen. I had simply overlooked it before. It was Windows who dropped the keys.
You got the keys? Get them from Gary. I want to get some stuff out of here.
Watch closely. Windows takes the keys from Gary and walks away, holding them in his hand. There's even a slight emphasis on this. But when he sees something terrifying, he panics and drops the keychain. In the film, you can just barely hear the sound of the keys hitting the floor. If you hadn't noticed this before, give a like. When everyone starts discussing who might have taken the keys and ruined the blood samples, Windows remembers he was the last one holding them. He gets scared, worrying that Gary might remember this too and accuse him. That's why he panicked. Now I understand John Carpenter's words more clearly. He's always said that the answers are in the film itself, and he's irritated by the endless questions on the topic. It was Palmer who picked up the keys, and he was likely assimilated by the Thing almost from the beginning of the movie. When did this happen? The film actually shows us, right here in this scene. The Thing, released in 1982, is an adaptation of John Campbell's science fiction novella, Who Goes There? The novella doesn't go into much detail about the alien's backstory, only mentioning that it tried to repair its ship and escape. Staying on Earth wasn't part of its plan, but when its resources ran out, it had to abandon the ship. Unfortunately for it, it crashed and was frozen for hundreds of thousands of years until the Norwegian expedition unearthed it. The 2011 prequel aimed to fill in these gaps in the Thing's backstory. The original screenwriter, Ronald Moore, provided an intriguing setup. I could only find a small part of his original script, but even that contains fascinating ideas. In his version, the Thing's story began with an alien race known as the Collectors. They traveled through space in search of an organic God particle, a unique organism. The Collectors kept numerous specimens from different planets, and the Thing was one of them. It escaped, killed the alien crew, and in the struggle, caused a fire, forcing the ship to crash on the nearest planet, Earth. The Thing assimilated the pilot and tried to take off again, but failed. Eventually, in the form of the Collector pilot, it left the ship and froze in the Antarctic ice. When the Norwegians found the Thing, it was no longer in its original form. Interestingly, these scenes were actually filmed, but the studio felt that the animatronics looked unconvincing and wanted to replace them with CGI. Additionally, the studio decided that the storyline felt too drawn out. As a result, Ronald Moore had to leave the project, and he was replaced by screenwriter Eric Heiserer, who chose to cut these scenes even though they were already completed.
3, 2, 1, go!
For that, we can certainly say a big thanks but no thanks, since we ultimately never got to see the Thing's original form. However, we do get a good look at the Collector pilots. According to Ronald Moore's vision, the Thing was supposed to appear in a vial as something resembling a liquid fungus. But we can't consider this canon, as his ideas were never fully realized. In any case, one thing is clear. The 2011 prequel could have turned out very differently. However, we ended up with what we got. Now, let's return to the mysterious videotape containing all the scenes that were filmed but didn't make it into the final movie. Apologies for the video quality and format. I found what I could. In the first scene, Dr. Blair dissects the Thing.
What kind of cell structure is this?
Well, you see, that's the point.
I don't get you, Blair.
I'm not sure it is any kind of cell structure. At least as we know cell structure. You see, when this thing attacked our dogs, it tried to shape its own cells to imitate theirs. We got to it before it had time to finish.
Finish what?
Finish imitating these dogs.
You're saying that thing in the ice was trying to become our dogs?
Yeah.
If it had succeeded, there'd be 3 dogs here instead of what you now see.
It seems to be able to imitate other life forms.
So what's our problem?
Still some cellular activity.
What's it gonna do? Put itself together and come chasing after us?
I don't know.
This scene is interesting because at the beginning of the film, the Doctor made it clear to everyone. Anyone could be infected by the Thing, and no one would be able to tell it apart from a human. There was a similar dialogue in the movie, but it was shorter and less informative. The second scene is one of the most intriguing, and here's why.
It's ripped just like the clothing on the Norwegian we brought back. Size large. Size do you wear, Clark?
So what? I wear size large too.
Size do you wear, Childs? So do I. So do most of us.
At this point, it becomes clear that the torn clothing belongs to Norris. Norris himself admits that he wears that size, and from the blood test, we know that neither Childs nor Clark were assimilated by the Thing. Palmer was smaller in build, so we can conclude that the clothing belongs to Norris, meaning he was already infected by then. Beyond that, there isn't much of major significance in these deleted scenes. They show a dead Norwegian, but it doesn't offer any clues. However, the alternate ending is a completely different story. It shows morning. Smoke is visible on the horizon, all that's left of the polar station. A dog runs across the snow, just like in the beginning of the film, glancing back to see if it's being followed. This is a clear hint that the dog is the Thing. Childs and MacReady aren't shown, so we can only guess what happened to them. Most likely, they froze to death. The Thing didn't need to kill MacReady. It's more advantageous for it to freeze again and wait for another time when it might be uncovered. If MacReady's torn body was found nearby, it would raise suspicions. But if only the Thing remains in the form of a dog, it has a better chance of succeeding. We remember that this creature is actually very intelligent. Also, in the film, when the Norwegian shoots at the dog, he yells a lot, but no one understands him because they don't know his language. It's a real shame as his words are actually very important. I translated this scene, and here's what he says. "Get the hell away from that creature, it's not a dog. It's the Thing. It's not a real dog, but an imitation. Get away, you idiots!" It's a shame no one understood his words and that the team acted so recklessly. Gary could have shot the Norwegian in the leg to stop him without killing him, but then, of course, there wouldn't have been a movie. And what do you think? Let me know in the comments.